Are you getting ideas for how you can apply these principles to your family and the people in your life? Another technique that is used is called behavior exchange. This is where a balance is found in giving and taking within relationships. With this, you're able to address conflicts and be able to build relational skills within the individuals. So there's positive exchanges. So you want to exchange positive and replace the negative ones. Does that make sense? So instead of saying, you're always late, say, I really appreciate it when you're on time. Things like that. As well as replacing I statements with you statements. I feel this way rather than you always do this. So it's just this constant give and take and balancing things and putting things more in a positive light. Analyzing behaviors is another way that this is used. What is a person gaining by their behavior? What sort of punishers or reinforcements are going on? Often, what's used to discover this is called functional analysis. So the goal is to target the dysfunctional behavior and to facilitate change. So the first step in this is to observe the behavior. Next is calculate the behavior's baseline in terms of frequency and rate. Then identify the consequence of the behavior. What's being gained or what's being lost? And then apply different consequences purposefully designed to produce a change in the behavior, either in the amount of the dysfunctional behavior if you want to lessen it or increase good behavior, or the quality, maybe not as intense or things like that. So here's an example that's often seen in family therapy, especially with kids and in parenting. So oftentimes there are many kids who throw tantrums. Think about, first observe the behavior. When are they throwing it? Is it only when certain people are around, certain times of day? What's going on there? Are they demanding something? Calculate, how often are they throwing this tantrum? To what degree? Is it every night before bed? Is it only in the grocery store? And then think about, what are they possibly gaining? Are they seeking attention? Perhaps it's when it happens only when the mom is around and when the dad comes home. Is it they're trying to stay up later and they don't want to go to bed? Is it they're demanding something, they want a certain item in the store? What is it by throwing the tantrum that they are gaining? Next, you want to apply different consequences. So perhaps take away whatever they're gaining from it. If it's attention, ignore it. Give an alternative. If they're demanding something, offer up something else instead. Another great one is to show positive attention when they're behaving appropriately. Oftentimes this will reshape and change the behavior. And you be careful that you don't give in to the tantrum as it's escalating, because oftentimes what happens is when they're not receiving what they've usually, the reinforcements they usually have, they escalate and they escalate. But then if you give in to the tantrum at the point of escalation, then you're just reinforcing that behavior even more. So staying consistent and strong is really important. But this is an example of functional analysis. But there's more to behavior than this. We've talked about thoughts and how those are also important concerning family therapy. So in applying cognitive behavioral therapy to families, you want to think about those schemas again. What are those core beliefs about the family? These are often related to experiences that people have with their parents in childhood, or even personal or general theories that are related to family functioning. With these schemas, you want to identify distorted beliefs that they may have about the family in general, their partner, their child, or even themselves. Uncover these assumptions and then challenge the irrational beliefs can change these beliefs. As well, as we've talked about earlier, changing these thoughts and these beliefs can influence emotions, and then which can also influence behaviors. They all are interconnected. The cycle of thoughts, feelings, and actions of an individual influences the reactions of others around them. This is seen very often within families. There's this idea of the ABCs of family therapy. The goal is to modify beliefs and expectations by putting them on a more rational basis. Family members often blame their problems on activating events that lead to certain consequences, when really it's the irrational beliefs that influence these activating events and lead to certain consequences. Identifying the irrational belief is the main focus. So the role of the therapist. In many other theories, the therapist is not as engaged, or I should say not as directive. In cognitive behavioral family therapy, they act as a driven and caring teacher that facilitates change by helping the family do different things, such as identifying the behavior goals through very careful assessment. They guide therapy by applying learning theory techniques, and they also give feedback along the way. They also find social reinforcements, find ways of modifying the contingencies of the reinforcement in a process that's unique to each family. The therapist is active and directive, where maybe in other forms they're a bit more distant and guide the process, the natural process that the family goes on from behind, where in CBT they're more bringing the family along with them. They allow each member to express their feelings, and often what is also helpful is identify the family member with the most power and start there. Identifying changing behaviors, maybe irrational beliefs within them, will bring the other family members along. Also facilitate and integrate individual goals into main family goals and talk about how you can achieve them together and reinforce those. Another thing that the role of therapists is they're very focused on the here and now. They don't take much time to explore the past except for maybe how it's influencing present behaviors.